started. So welcome today to the February 14th, Valentine's Day, for those of us that remember to wear red. And for those of you online, thank you so much for joining us. So Joanna, can you take a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor Miller,
Here.
Vice Mayor Politis,
Here, and I don't own anything red, so I didn't forget.
You got a little red tie?
I ain't got no red tie.
Commissioner Bryan,
I have something red.
You always.
There you go.
Commissioner Economos,
Here.
Commissioner Lindauer.
Here, and I'm not gonna tell you where my red is.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Reverend Bob, can you lead us this evening in prayer?
I think we need prayer. Please stand and join in this moment of invocation. Gracious and Holy One, as we come on this Valentine's Day evening to this City Commission meeting, we are grateful for this celebration and grateful for this opportunity to come together as neighbors, as friends, as citizens of this city. As we come on this Valentine's Day, we celebrate love in its many, many different forms, not just romantic, but love for neighbor, love for brother, for sister, love for this community. And we celebrate tonight love in every form that is good and right and pure. So as we come and fold us in this moment and prepare us for the work that needs to be done in this session this evening, we also come this night with heavy hearts, broken hearts, for those whose lives were lost in the shooting yesterday in Michigan, and for their families, their friends, and all affected by their loss. May you surround them with your love and care as they grieve. Help us to come to this moment prepared and ready to be led by you in the decisions that need to be made. We ask these things in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the
Flag of the United
States of America
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Reverend Bob, before you walk away, can you tell us a little bit about the special annual event
Absolutely.
recognizing two wonderful, wonderful citizens?
Right. This year's event, because John and Rita are no longer with us, we have named the Day of the Duels Motoring Festival the John and Rita Mafucci Day of the Duels Motoring Festival. And I'll say that better on Thursday. But so thankful for the trail that they have blazed for that show, and we just hope that we'll be able to honor them and the work they've done with that show for the past 9 years. And this is the 10th annual Day of the Duels Motoring Festival. So we'd like to invite everyone to come down from 10 to 3 on Thursday to the drive-in church and enjoy the show with us. And of course, one of our partners is the City of Daytona Beach Shores, and so we want to thank the city formally today and on Thursday for all the great support that we get from the city, the city services, the commission, and the citizens of the city, and making it a great show every year.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, next we'll move on to our presentations and public notice. City Manager, will you explain to us what the announcement of the Employee of the Year Award is, please?
Happy Valentine's, Mayor. Yeah, so this year, and members of council, commission, we'll get that straight. Yeah, this year, a couple meetings ago at our department head meetings, sorry, I do a weekly department head meetings. A couple meetings ago, we were talking that we had not announced an employee of the year this year. And so in talking, with everything that went on in 2022, especially with the hurricanes. We had so many folks that stepped up in so many different ways outside of their normal work effort. This is kind of a different thing, but we would like to basically say that the staff was the Employee of the Year this year. And in recognition of them, I'd like to host like a small pizza party or maybe picnic. I'm not sure anybody wants to cook more hamburgers and hot dogs after the appreciation, but do something for them to recognize, because so many people, again, stepped up in different ways and just filled in. You know, we have folks, I've said this before, but normally in an event, most cities have a policy that vacations are canceled and things like that, but we didn't even have to say that. Our people did it themselves and drove back, just as an example of the type of people we have. Everybody went above and beyond. They didn't ask, what can I do? They just saw things and jumped in and did it. And that's just the type of employees we have as a whole here. So I'd like to recognize them all for their efforts.
Do you have a date in mind yet?
We do not. I'll get with the department heads and we'll set a date and time. I'd like to send an email out to them tomorrow, just noting this, and then we'll set a date and time.
Great. Okay, any questions on that? And
Well, I'd just like to comment and say, I think that's a great idea, Kurt.
It's wonderful, very generous.
Kurt, I think the day after we had the barbecue cookout, I mentioned the same thing to you too. I saw how well everyone was getting along, trying to make the burgers, and we had a blast up in the kitchen serving. Not one of us got a bite of anything, but you know, it was fun serving, and I'd like to almost turn it around and be able to serve the staff like they served our residents, because it was a great event. You know, I sent out a thank you to everyone, but everyone that helped that day, thank you so much. The compliments I got from our residents and said, this is why I live here, that's why the Shores is so great. So, and we had fun, except when we ran out of hamburgers and people were staring us down. Other than that, so I'd like to reward, you know, and however you see fit, the staff that cook for the residents, if we could do that for them. Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments for our city manager? Okay, if not, we're going to move on to the approval of the minutes. First, we'll do the city commission meeting of January 24th, 2023. Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes?
So move.
Thank you. All right, and so that was a motion by Councilman or Commissioner Lindauer and second by Commissioner Economos. Any discussion? Joanna, can you take a roll, please?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Lindauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Economos,
Yes.
Commissioner Politis,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryan,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes, thank you. Okay, next we're going to move on to the City Commission workshop minutes, and we had that on January 27th, 2023. Do I hear a motion to accept those minutes?
So move. Second.
All right, so we have a motion from Commissioner Bryan and a second from Commissioner Lindauer. Any discussion? Okay, if not, Joanna, can you take a roll on that, please?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Bryan,
Yes.
Commissioner Lindauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Politis,
Yes.
Commissioner Economos,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes, thank you, Joanna. Okay, next we're going to move on to the consent agenda. We have 6 items on that this evening. Do I have any items that wish to be pulled before I ask for a motion? Okay, if not, can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as is?
So move.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you. So we have a motion from Commissioner Bryan and a second from Commissioner Lindauer. Do we have any discussion on any of the items? Okay, hearing none, then Joanna, can you take a roll on that, please?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Bryan,
Yes.
Commissioner Lindauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Politis,
Yes.
Commissioner Economos,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes, thank you. Okay, now we're going to move on to the city attorney report. As you see there, there's quite a few items. Those are available for public record, but if there's, I won't have our city attorney go over every single one of those. If there's any questions on those, please let us know or reach out to her. So, and looking them over, were any comments or questions on the city attorney's report? Okay, if not, Attorney Boyce, thank you for that detailed report. We appreciate it.
Certainly.
And now we'll move on to the city manager report. City Manager Swartzlander, what do you have for us this evening?
Good evening again, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of the commission. A couple of notes. The carousel equipment, the merry-go-round at the park, it was broken. We had to remove it. It's not repairable. We are considering not replacing it, while as a kid, that was my favorite piece of equipment. There are also, most cities have started to pull them for liability reasons. They are a very dangerous piece of equipment. So unless there's objection, we will look for maybe something else to do there instead of the merry-go-round. But right now, don't want to replace it for liability reasons, but if the commission feels otherwise, we can look at something.
Director Cruz, do you happen to remember how old that piece of equipment is?
Mayor, I believe it was original.
So that means,
That means probably 10 years.
okay,
Probably 10 years.
okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
The next thing you see on my report is Fenari Park. It says it's anticipated to be reopened for public access next Monday, but I was informed today that they are hoping to have that open at around noon tomorrow. So we look forward to being able to get people back on the beach through that access point. We are going to be looking at a couple others that we're trying to get quotes on to repair. On the consent agenda, the Zev Cohen contract that you saw was for the ones that had seawall behind them or under them. So we have a couple, though, that we think we can just hire a contractor to fix quickly like we did with Fernari, so those are in the works.
Do you have any idea which ones are next on the list, or haven't you anticipated that yet?
There's two, and I'm drawing a blank on the name. Stuart?
Tuscany Shores and Ocean Vistas.
Thank you.
Okay, so Tuscany Shores is more in the center of town, and Ocean Vistas would be more towards the north side.
Correct.
Okay, and that was, thank you for doing that. That was one of the things I had asked about. I want to make sure that we're taking care of the north side of the city, because there's not a lot of access to the beach from up there. Down more towards the south, we do have Van Avenue and Dunlot, and so if we can open one of those ramps up there, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Then I also want to just note that on February 1st, the Port Orange South Daytona Chambers Mayor's Breakfast, they hold an annual award ceremony for the firefighter, police officer, or public safety officer of the year. And Anthony McCulley was selected as our public safety officer for the year. First time it's gone to a firefighter medic.
Great.
And then at our workshop, we talked about a commission day where the commission comes and kind of tours every facility and talks to staff and those kind of things. I wanted to throw out Friday, March 17th for that. See what everybody's availability is for that. I'm assuming right now it'd be about a 9 o'clock start. And then we would just go, we would probably end up with a lunch in there, but 9 until we were done with the tours.
Okay, and unfortunately for me, that date won't work out. I have 2 children born in March, the 13th and 19th, and we normally go back up to Atlanta. But by all means, continue with it. I feel like I go out to the, to the apartments a lot and talk. So I would prefer maybe some of the other commissioners that don't get there as often. That would be fine with me.
Does it work for you?
It's not bike week, I'm good.
Okay.
I think it's okay with me.
Okay.
St. Patrick's Day, but I'm okay.
I'm fine.
Okay, so we'll put that on the calendar. If you need to check and let me know, we'll make a change if needed.
Do you envision that as the 4 of us going around as a group?
Yes, so it'll be a publicly noticed meeting. Sherry will have to take minutes and all that fun stuff that we normally do to follow Sunshine.
You want it to start at 9?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that AM or PM?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mel. Just a note, I know Jan sent this out, but Friday, March 3rd, the Volusia League of Cities is hosting their free 4-hour ethics training class at Stetson University. It's from 8 to noon. It's one of the free classes. That's my alma mater, so I'm going. I have to get, it's one of those requirements we all have to get. So I know myself and the mayor are scheduled.
I am not going. I won't be at
Okay.
that one, no.
Well, I'm just putting it out there. Jan also today emailed out to everybody the opportunities through the Florida League of Cities, not the Volusia, the Florida League of Cities. They have some webinar based ones, but there's also a separate course that I think costs like $75, but I believe the other webinar ones are free of charge.
So if at all possible, if we could probably, not that $75 is that much, but we have several opportunities to either be in person on the 3rd. I understand everyone can't make that, but there'll be quite a few of those free ones that'll be put on by the Florida League of Cities. So if we could take advantage of that, that'd be appreciated.
Just so Vice Mayor Politis knows, I did some research on some of those because some of the dates just don't work. There's one, I think, for $79. We also get CLE credits for that, and it
nice.
applies to the 4-hour ethics, so.
Thank you. I'll have,
I'll let you know what that is.
yeah, I'll tell Tina to reach out and we'll find out.
And I'm already signed up for one of the online courses.
For the free one of
I
the.
just want to remind everybody, we don't want to get in trouble of not doing and completing the class. I know Jan stays on top of it as well, so. And the last thing, I'm proud to announce that today we were formally awarded our DEP grant for our comprehensive vulnerability study. So in the amount of $130,000. So we got that notice today. So we'll see what we need to do to proceed with that. I believe our finance director is already on top of that. So we'll be moving forward with that.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Any questions on that?
Is that money available now?
I'm not sure if that's a reimbursement grant or if it's funded up front.
Director Irwin, can you?
Reimbursement grant? Okay, it's a reimbursement grant. So once we have the study, but we can proceed with the study now.
And so they pay up to $130,000. Director Irwin, is that how that works?
That is correct.
Okay, all right. So it's either use it or lose it. You know, you and I were having a small conversation today so that we applied for that back in July or August, well before 2 little named storms came along. Do you anticipate that the cost will increase at all?
Right now, I am not, but I do have a call into the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council, who actually is going to be helping us with that, and I'm just waiting for them to give me a call back so we can discuss it.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on that grant? Okay, if not, we will move on to our quasi-judicial hearing. Joanna, will you be doing the swearing in this evening?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Oh, someone's prepared. We didn't even ask, and
She knows the drill.
Never done that.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this hearing?
Yes.
and our attorney.
Is there anyone else who's going to want to speak at any of the quasi-judicial hearings?
Okay, if not, and I need to ask our commission up here, did anyone have any ex parte communication with ordinance 2022-24? That was the property at 2822 South Atlantic Avenue?
No.
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 Okay, thank you. Noel, can you proceed on that one then?
Okay, this is ordinance number 2022-24, an ordinance of the City of Daytona Beach Shores, Volusia County, Florida, assigning the RSF2 Urban Single-Family Residential Detached District zoning classification to any single-family residential property generally located at 2822 South Atlantic Avenue, short tax parcel ID 5327-05-00-0980, providing modification to the official zoning map, providing for implementing administrative actions, providing for non-codification, providing providing for an effective date.
Hi there. It's currently 6.
I got it on, I guess, I don't know what.
That's okay, we're fine, okay. Thank you, Attorney Boyce, appreciate
Sorry.
it. That's okay, Noel?
Good evening, Commission, Mayor. This is ordinance 2022-24. This is our second reading of this ordinance. We're here because this property has been annexed into the city, and now we need to assign a zoning and land use that is compatible with what they had in the county. This is the property at 2822 South Atlantic Avenue. It's approximately 14,250 square feet. And the previous Volusia County zoning was R4, which allowed for single-family homes. And the proposed zoning for Daytona Beach Shores is consistent with that in the RSF2 Urban Single-Family Residential District. This property will remain this single-family dwelling. This is an aerial view on the left, just showing the single-family characteristic, and then again, a location map on the right-hand side. The green is showing the city limits of Daytona Beach Shores, and it is abutting that property, making it eligible for the annexation. This is our zoning map. On the right-hand side, it's showing the RSF2 in the yellow. The analysis shows that the zoning criteria has been met of section 14-66, and all of the notice requirements have been met as well. Staff is recommending approval. The Planning and Zoning Board held a public hearing and recommended approval, and then the City Commission voted unanimously to approve on January 10th.
Okay, thank you. This is the second reading. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on this ordinance 2022-24? Okay, if not, do we have a motion to accept?
I'll move to approve ordinance 2022-24 as presented.
Second, go ahead, I'm sorry, Chris, you got it.
Okay. All right, so Joanna, we have Vice Mayor Politis making the motion and Commissioner Economos seconding. Any discussion? Okay, if not, Joanna, can you take the roll on this, please?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Politis?
Yes.
Commissioner Economos?
Yes.
Commissioner Lindauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Bryan?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes, thank you. Okay, next we are going to move on to ordinance 2022-26. Did anyone on the commission have any ex parte communication on this ordinance, this property at 3615 Cardinal Boulevard?
No.
Okay,
No.
If not, thank you. Attorney Voice, will you read that ordinance for us, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Ordinance number 2022-26, an ordinance of the City of Daytona Beach Shores, Volusia County, Florida, assigning the RSF2 Urban Single Family Residential Detached District zoning classification to annexed single-family residential property generally located at 3615 Cardinal Boulevard, short tax parcel ID 6302-05-10-0111, providing modification of the official zoning map, providing for implementing administrative actions, providing for non-codification, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Okay, and looks like you have a notice for us, Noel.
Yes, good evening, Noelle Eaton, City Planner. Ordinance 2022-26 is being recommended to be continued until a time certain, which is the next City Commission meeting, February 28th, 2023. We have two components of this, a future land use and this zoning amendment. And the newspaper published two zoning map amendments. So the future land use didn't get noticed, which you'll see that again, this red lettering. So we are continuing both of these items until the next meeting, and they have been re-advertised.
I move we continue.
All right, thank you.
Second it.
Okay, so Joanna, we have a motion from Commissioner Bryan to continue, a second from Commissioner Landauer. Do we have any discussion on this? Okay, Joanna, can you take a roll on this one, please?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Bryan?
Yes.
Commissioner Lindauer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Politis?
Yes.
Commissioner Economos?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes, thank you. Okay, next, we're going to move on to ordinance 2022-28. Did anyone on the commission have any ex parte communication with this ordinance at 105 Broad Avenue?
No.
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 Okay, thank you. Attorney Voice, can you read this ordinance for us, please?
Yes, this is ordinance number 2022-28, an ordinance of the City of Daytona Beach Shores, Volusia County, Florida, assigning the RSF2 Urban Single Family Residential Detached District Zoning Classification to annex single-family residential property located at 105 Broad Avenue, short tax parcel ID 533505000260. Providing modification of the official zoning map, providing for implementing administrative actions, providing non-codification, providing for an effective date.
Thank you.
Good evening, Noelle Eaton, City Planner. This is ordinance 2022-28. It is to assign the zoning of previously annexed property, assign the RSF2 Urban Single Family Residential Detached District. This is the property. The applicant is James Tully, and the previous zoning, current zoning, is the Volusia County R9, again allowing the single-family use on the property. The use will remain the same as a single-family home, and the proposed zoning is the RSF2 zoning designation. This is an aerial view, again, just showing the single-family characteristic of the neighborhood. This property abuts the city limits on the south side, which is half of Broad Avenue. When we annex to the middle of the roadway, so we're just assigning this zoning consistent with the rest of the area properties. This is the zoning, again, showing the RSF2 in yellow, consistent with the properties to the south. All of the notice requirements have been met, as well as the zoning criteria of section 14-66. Staff is recommending approval. The Planning and Zoning Board have recommended approval, and the City Commission held its first reading on January 10th and unanimously approved ordinance 2022-28.
Thank you. With the second reading, do I hear anyone that would want to speak on this ordinance 2022-28? If not, do I hear a motion?
So move.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All right. So Joanna, we have a motion from Commissioner Economos and a second from our Vice Mayor Politis. Any discussion on 2022-28? Okay, if not, Joanne, can you take a roll on that, please?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Economos?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Politis?
Yes.
Commissioner Lindauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Bryan?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes, thank you. Okay, next we're going to move on to old business, and as you see, there's a little bit of repeat here, so this is just the formal thing that we need to do to annex in. So have patience with us, please. Ordinance 2022-23. Turn your voice. Can you read that for us, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Ordinance number 2022-23, an ordinance of the City of Daytona Beach Shores, Volusia County, Florida, relating to comprehensive planning, amending the City of Daytona Beach Shores Comprehensive Plan, amending Chapter 1, Future Land Use Element by amending Map L4, entitled Generalized Future Land Use Map 2030, assigning the residential level intensity future land use designation to annex single-family residential property generally located at 2822 South Atlantic Avenue, short tax parcel ID 5327-05-00-0980, providing for implementing actions, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for non-codification, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Well,
Good evening, Noelle Eaton, City Planner. This is the underlying layer of what we just approved. This is the future land use designation of these properties. This ordinance 2022-23 is to assign the residential low-intensity land use to the property at 2822 South Atlantic. The future land use in Volusia County was the urban low intensity, which allowed 0.2 to 4 units per acre. And the proposed Daytona Beach Shores future land use is the residential low intensity, which allows the same 0 to 4 units per acre, consistent with what they had in the county. These are the same aerial views of the property and location map. And then here's our land use map showing the tan color, the residential, it is a residential low intensity, so it's the yellow and dashed land use that's assigned. This is again consistent with the land use that they had previously in the county. The impact summary shows that there is no change between the land use change, and all the notice requirements have been met. Staff is recommending approval. The Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval, and the City Commission held first reading on January 10th and voted to approve.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any, Attorney Boyce, do we need public comment on this?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone on the audience that would like to speak on ordinance 2022-23? Okay, if not, do I hear a motion?
I move we approve.
I'll second.
Okay, so Joanna, we have Commissioner Bryan with the motion, Commissioner Landauer with the second. Any discussion on 2022-23? Hearing none, Joanna, can you take a roll, please?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Bryan?
Yes.
Commissioner Lindauer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Politis?
Yes.
Commissioner Economos?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes, thank you. Okay, now we're going to move on to ordinance 2022-25. Attorney Boyce, can you read that one for us, please?
Yes, it's ordinance number 2022-25, an ordinance of the City of Daytona Beach Shores, Volusia County, Florida, relating to comprehensive planning, amending the City of Daytona Beach Shores Comprehensive Plan, amending Chapter 1, Future Land Use Element by amending Map L4 entitled Generalized Future Land Use Map 2030, assigning the residential low-intensity future land use designation to annex single-family residential property, generally located at 3615 Cardinal Boulevard, short tax parcel ID 630205100111, providing for implementing action, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for non-codification, and providing an effective date.
Okay, thank you. Same.
This is the application that did not receive full notice requirements, so we are asking to continue this item till a time certain, which is the next City Commission meeting on February 28th.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to continue?
So move.
I'll second.
Okay. So Joanna, we had Commissioner Lindauer motion, Commissioner Economos to second, and any discussion?
If I could mention that these are being re-advertised, which is a change in procedure under Florida law. There was a decision by the 4th DCA. It was just an absolutely wrong decision. It was last week. They ruled that it was not adequate notice to, at a reading of an ordinance, to postpone it to a time certain, they said that you had to re-advertise. So we are re-advertising it.
Yes. All right, we advertise.
And that is a new,
It's a brand new case that just came out. I'm hoping that it will go up to the Florida Supreme Court, get reversed. Otherwise, the Florida League of Cities and a lot of local leagues of cities are trying to get some legislative action to undo it.
okay. All right, thank you for that additional information.
Sure.
It's an unfunded mandate, right?
Absolutely.
So, are we ready to move on to ordinance 2022-27? Did you take the vote? Okay.
Commissioner Lindauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Economos?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Politis?
Yes.
Commissioner Bryan?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes, thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to ordinance 2022-27. Attorney Boyce, can you read that one for us, please?
Yes, this is ordinance 2022-27, an ordinance of the City of Daytona Beach Shores, Volusia County, Florida, relating to comprehensive planning, amending the City of Daytona Beach Shores Comprehensive Plan, amending Chapter 1, Future Land Use Element, by amending Map L4 entitled Generalized Future Land Use Map 2030, assigning the residential low-intensity future land use designation to annex property located at 105 Broad Avenue, short tax parcel ID 5335-05-00-0260, providing for implementing actions, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for non-codification, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Well,
Good evening, Noelle Eaton, City Planner. This is the last one of this set. This is second reading of ordinance 2022-27. This is to assign the Daytona Beach Shores residential low-intensity land use to 105 Broad Avenue. The future land use in the county is that same county urban low intensity, which allows up to 4 units per acre. And the proposed Daytona Beach Shores future land use of residential low intensity provides that same 0 to 4 units per acre. The property will remain a single-family home. These are, again, the aerial map and location map showing the property. This is our future land use map. On the right-hand side, showing the residential low intensity, which is consistent with the land use that they previously had in the county. The impact summary does show that there is no change between the land use change and all the notice requirements have been met. Staff is recommending approval. Planning and Zoning Board held a public hearing and recommended approval, and the City Commission voted to approve this ordinance on January 10th.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on ordinance 2022-27? Okay, if not, do I hear a motion to accept?
I move we approve.
I'll second.
All right, so we have Commissioner Bryan with the motion, Commissioner Economos, second. Any discussion? Okay, Joanna, can you take a roll on that, please?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Ryan?
Yes.
Commissioner Conlon?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Politis?
Yes.
Commissioner Lindauer?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes, thank you. And now we're going to move on to item D, which is a non-conforming sign removal. I think this was presented to us last meeting, and as we had said previously, anyone that's going to be getting a grant, we wanted to make sure that it had Daytona Beach Shores on their website and their advertising. Can you give us an update on that, please?
Yes, this is an application for the non-conforming freestanding sign at 2100 South Atlantic Avenue. It's the Congo River Golf. This application does meet the grant criteria, and the applicant does qualify for the maximum $3,000. I provided to you an email response in my staff report indicating that it's a little bit more of a feat, I think, for this company to change their website and the graphics that they have, that they use. So I think he tried to explain that as best as possible in his email. I don't think the intention was to change the website. So
That's how I read it.
Yeah, that's what I read too. And if I may comment, that's a business decision that they chose to make. So our decision is, do we want to fund somebody who claims they're in Daytona Beach instead of Daytona Beach Shores? And my answer is no.
And I would agree with that. And, you know, as a legislative body, we take our responsibilities very seriously, but especially with the allocation of city money. And I don't think it's appropriate that we award a business Daytona Beach Shores city money when they advertise Daytona Beach, Florida. And it pains me to say that because, again, I said last meeting, I love Congo River and my family loves that. But again, I just don't think it's appropriate to do that. So I would actually vote no.
All right, so now do we need a motion to deny?
No, I think it's still the motion to approve and we'll just vote no.
Okay.
And then I would have a motion to deny after if it does not get approved, and I would ask for a public comment.
Okay, do we have anyone here that wishes to comment on that? So if there's anyone out there that, I see a couple new faces. So what we did was, I'm going to go back to a history of 10 or 11 years ago that we had conforming signs that we wanted in Daytona Beach Shores. So that expired after 10 years. This commission, I think, very kindly said, let's give them one more year. There has been COVID. There's been a lot of extenuating circumstances. So we came up with a grant anywhere minimum $2,000, maximum $3,000. Another caveat that we had was, if we're going to be giving this money in Daytona Beach Shores, our expectation is that you advertise that you are in Daytona Beach Shores. So we had 2 or 3, Noel, would you say, that did not have that, we've noticed on the website. So our city planner reached out to them, whether it was an oversight or for whatever reason, they corrected it. So this particular person company doesn't want to correct it. So that's where we're at right now as far as the grant is. So do I hear a motion to?
Madam Mayor, can I add something else
Sure.
too? And you reminded me of that. And again, we have asked other businesses to change, and they have done that. And again, I think we would be setting a precedent if we allowed this money, this grant money, to go to somebody who didn't do that. And I think it's unfair to the other businesses that have actually changed that. So again, that's just another reason why I think we should,
Okay.
at least I would say no.
And I agree.
All right, so do I hear a motion to approve?
I mean, we can, I could make the motion to approve.
You don't have to have a
We
motion.
don't have to have a motion.
But we
You
can
have
carry
a motion to deny.
Well, I'd like to author a motion to deny the grant application
I'll second that.
presented.
Okay, so Joanna, we have a motion to deny from Vice Mayor Politis, a second from Commissioner Landau. Any other conversation on this? So as far as we know, Noel, this was the last one that came in by December 31st. So unless we decide to make an exception, this will be the last of the grant money that we will be issuing? Is that correct?
Wouldn't issue, but yes, this is the last,
Wouldn't issue.
this is the last application, and we haven't been advertising, but if somebody applied, we were going to process it, and nobody has applied, so this is the last one.
Okay, and as I always ask you, can you give me an update of how many non-conforming we have left in the city?
So there is $16,807 remaining in the budget for it. There are 26 signs that are still erect or have pieces that are erect that are non-conforming. 2 of those 26 have permits in right now, and then I know of at least 3 or 4 more that are actively working for permits, so.
And can you give me the date again that in April that or explain to me the process? So April, whatever date comes and nothing has been done. Can you give me the next step in the process, please?
So April 9th is the last day that these properties are in non-conformance. And no code enforcement action is being taken. On April 10th is when they become actively in non-conformance, and that is when we would seek action.
Okay, and it seems like our director has something to add.
I was just going to add, Madam Mayor, Commissioners, that come April 10th, we will be reaching out to them to give them a gentle budge and go through the code enforcement process. But even before then, we are sending out letters to let people be reminded that the deadline is coming around the corner.
Okay. And when will be the date that they would appear before a special magistrate if no action is taken?
So if the property owner is making a good faith effort, meaning that they've submitted plans, permit applications, whatnot, we will let that go through the process. But if they're taking no action whatsoever in terms of a good faith effort, then an issuance of a notice of violation will have to be done, and then obviously, they would appear based on the timing in which that NOV is issued.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for anyone on this? Okay, if not, Joanna, can you take a roll?
Yes, ma'am. Vice Mayor Politis,
Yes,
Commissioner Lindauer,
I just want to confirm, this is to deny.
correct.
Yes, I vote yes.
Commissioner Economos,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryan,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Noel.
Thank you.
Okay, next we're going to move on under new business, formalization of city manager salary adjustment. Attorney Voice, can you read that background for us, please?
Yes, and actually, this is under old business.
Oh, old business, I'm sorry.
Yes, and the amendment to the city manager's salary, reflecting the salary adjustment, merely implements the will of the city commission as expressed at the meeting of January 10th, 2023. It's a very simple change. Any future changes of his salary going forward will be taken care of. It won't require a change in the contract. But I recommend that this be approved in order to appropriately implement the salary change.
Great. And, again, I want to state that, this was an action that was taken by our commission, and our city manager had no prior input to this whatsoever. So I guess I'll ask for a motion now to formalize our city manager's salary adjustment. Do I hear a motion?
I so move.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. So Joanna, we have Vice Mayor Politis, The motion with Commissioner Lindauer as a second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Joanna, can you take a roll, please, on this?
Yes, ma'am. Vice Mayor Politis,
Yes.
Commissioner Lindauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Economos,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryan,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes, thank you. Okay, next we're going to go on to a resolution number 2023-02, and this is just in support of the Florida League of Cities, a legislative agenda. So they have some action items that they are putting out. So this is just a resolution to support that. With that resolution, if we pass this and support it, then we are saying as a commission, when we are out and about, that we have the authority from our commission to talk and support what Florida League of Cities is supporting or opposing. So do I hear a motion to accept this resolution?
I need to read it.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, this is Resolution 2023-02, a resolution of the City of Daytona Beach Shores, Volusia County, Florida, urging members of the Florida Legislature to support the 2023 Florida League of Cities legislative platform, providing for severability, providing for conflicting resolutions, and providing an effective date.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Voice. Now do I hear a motion?
So move.
I'll second.
Thank you. So we have a motion from Commissioner Lundauer. We have a second from Vice Mayor Politis. Any discussion on this? Joanna, can you take the roll on this, please?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Lindauer,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Politis,
Yes.
Commissioner Economos,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryan,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes, thank you. Okay, and now we will move on to Resolution 2023-03. Turner Voice, can you read that for us, please?
Yes, certainly. Resolution 2023-03, a resolution of the City of Daytona Beach Shores, Volusia County, Florida, urging members of the Florida Legislature to support the 2023 Florida Police Chiefs Association's legislative platform and the 2023 Florida Professional Firefighters legislative platform, providing for severability, providing for conflicting resolutions, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Do we hear a motion to accept 2023-03?
Also move.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. So we have Commissioner Economos with the motion, Vice Mayor Politis with the second. Do we have any discussion on Resolution 2023-03?
Yeah, could you explain exactly what this does?
Okay, this, both the Florida Police Chiefs Association and the Florida Professional Firefighters legislation, professional firefighters have legislative platforms, and they revise the definition of a retirement date, and I believe the chief is coming up here. It decreases the age and years of service needed to reach normal retirement date for certain members. And they, I can read this, providing a declaration of important state interest, which is the legislature finds that a proper and legitimate state purpose is served when employees and retirees of the state and its political subdivisions and the dependent survivors and beneficiaries of such employees and retirees are extended the basic protection afforded by governmental retirement system that provide fair and adequate benefits that are managed, administered, and funded in an actuarially sound manner as required by the state constitution and Florida statutes. Therefore, the legislature determines and declares that this act fulfills an important state interest. And I think the chief has probably.
Yes, Chief, do you have a
I can
further
get some
explanation?
background on that. Mike Fowler, Director of Public Safety. During my presentation at the last meeting, I had mentioned that I would be probably speaking to you about this. All of our public safety employees are covered under the, or sworn public safety employees are covered under this, this legislation. It's the special risk of the Florida retirement system. Everyone who was hired prior to July of 2011 has a retirement length of service as 25 years or age at 55. And What happened was in July of 2011, the legislature changed that to 30 years of service or 60 years of age. What that means is at some point, should this new legislation that's proposed not be adopted and made into law, is you'll have 60-year-old firefighters and police officers out there on the road at the end of their careers. There was a study done, an actuarial study done last year that showed that going back to what it was before, making everybody equal at 55 and 25 was, I think, somewhere in the range of 2% cost of payroll, which the actuaries determined was probably the least expensive way to benefit the employees. We talked that Daytona has a 20-year pension, and Port Orange has a 20-year pension, and I'm out trying to recruit folks and convince them to work an extra decade. This would move that back to the 25 years.
And Chief Fowler, is this one of the things that we've been talking to our legislatures about, Representative Leake and Senator Wright trying to get their support?
Yes, ma'am.
Housing?
Yes, ma'am. As we've had contact over the last few months for other things, we've talked about this. I have the definite impression that they support this, but your support of this moving forward is going to be helpful.
Any questions for our chief?
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or any other discussion? If not, can you take, I'm sorry, did you?
Approve the resolution.
Second it.
I think there was already.
I thought we already had that, so we just need the vote.
Okay. Commissioner Economos?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Plitus?
Yes.
Commissioner Lindauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Bryan?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes, thank you. Okay, now we'll go on to council comments. So Commissioner Bryan, what do you have for us? We understand that you were in Washington DC last week. Can you tell us a little bit about what transpired there?
Yeah, the Florida League of Cities used to be annually, but COVID kind of interfered with that for a couple of years. Sponsors they call it a fly-in. The League of Cities actually is interested more in global issues like flood insurance and tax-free interest on municipal bonds, and that's what they want to talk about. And just to address those two issues, the taxable bonds, we were assured pretty much that there was not going to be any change to the fact that municipal bonds would have tax-free interest. With regard to flood insurance, the problem that the League of Cities sees is every so often it's only extended by a year or two. They'd like a more permanent solution. And that is something that was discussed. There was some pushback on that, basically by saying people that want to build back when they've been flooded, they need to, justify building back into a flood zone. And so it wasn't quite as smooth a process. So I think there's going to be some pushback. It's been extended for a year, but when it comes to the next go-around, it's not necessarily going to be as easy to get flood insurance if you've been flooded, already been flooded in a flood zone. I was there, to support the league, but also to bring more awareness to the kind of devastation we had from Ian and Nicole. And I made sure I didn't make a nuisance of myself bringing that up in the general meetings when they really wanted to try to look at these. So I made appointments before going to Washington on Thursday, and some I usually lingered and at least gave the representatives and there's no actual senator there. The senator's staff were there, and left these 4x6 glossies of some of the destruction, and got some meetings, arranged some meetings for the Thursday, which is after the Florida League of Cities event was over. And I was able to talk with a number of representatives, specifically about the devastation. And I went with 20 copies of these pictures and came back with none. So I was able to give 20 different individuals something they could remember us by anyway. On Thursday, I met with Mike Waltz. Mike, as you know, is our congressman. There's probably more. He had written a letter to the Army Corps of Engineers, basically saying that he wanted to get support for a supplemental appropriations bill for the Corps of Engineers to become more involved. And I talked to him about it on Thursday, and he's optimistic. Obviously, he can't guarantee anything will actually happen, but that's a little bit longer term solution. But it is something that is actually definite and in the works. And he's very supportive of whatever he can do to help us get some other types of aid or just encouragement as far as rebuilding, both rebuilding the beach and rebuilding seawalls and stuff like that. One non-legislative person that I met with and we're going to have follow-up is a high-level person in FEMA, U.S. FEMA, not state FEMA. And that may yield some benefit. I guess that remains to be seen. But anyway, we're going to set up some virtual calls with her staff and she and some of the local FEMA people. Okay. That's pretty much it. And I got introduced to the rough and tumble politics of Washington.
Yeah, our commissioner had a little bit of an accident. He was up there, but he's recovering. Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Commissioner Lindauer?
I just wanted to say that Kurt stole my thunder when he was giving his report. I just wanted to thank all the city staff for the great job they did at the Community Appreciation event. And I also would like to thank Kurt for following up on a request that I made at the request of residents who were asking about the crossover right by City Hall to the beach approach. I know Kurt wasn't here in 2004, 2005, so I reminded him that after the hurricanes, when the steps were washed away, the bottom 2 or 3 steps of the concrete steps were washed away, that they were replaced with 4 wooden steps, which lasted from then till now. They were washed away in either Ian or Nicole. So Kurt looked it up and found out that it wasn't a city thing, but he did follow up to the county and got in touch with the Wright County people, and now we have 4 steps over there and we have an approach. So thank you, Kurt, for following up on that. So those are my comments.
Okay, great.
If I can just add a comment to that, that is just a temporary measure. The county is trying to do that at as many locations as they can under local permitting, but they are looking at what they call more permanent solutions, which will include, maybe not at Belle Meade, but at other locations, the full ADA compliant access points, but they felt that they, as quickly as they could, and that one in particular was such low-hanging fruit, to get access points back open, they jumped on that one. So,
But thanks for following up on it.
Okay, so next I'll go, just want to remind everyone, we're starting our Friday evening concerts again. I think everyone loves those, and we're starting off with the food truck, so it'll be starting at 4:30. And we have Danny Saxman. Can you give us, I know everyone loved him.
Daniel Saxman Fuquay.
Yes. Yes, okay, he'll be there. So invite everybody to come out. You don't have to bring your food or your drinks this time. There'll be food trucks there if you need that. And the next thing is, I was asked by the House of Representatives in Tallahassee to appear before a committee on resiliency and recovery. So I will be doing that on Thursday afternoon. Our city manager will be accompanying me. Thank you to Nancy Maddox and our new PIO getting our talking points together. So thank you, Director, to Gwen that gave us all of those fabulous pictures. So what we plan on doing is just having pictures rolling the whole time that I'm speaking. I will not be speaking to the pictures, but we're hoping it captures their attention. So it's those ones that we see every day if we're on the beach. So I just want to capture their attention. Tell them a little bit about Daytona Beach Shores. Our Volusia County Coastal Director, Jessica Fentress, appeared there about 2 weeks ago and gave them a very good overview of the devastation that we have on the beaches. I want to hone in on Daytona Beach Shores, what's going on, tell them a little bit about us, our tourism, and then want to end up asking for very specific asks on some of the avoiding some permitting, additional money in grants to include some of the non-homesteaded property as well as the commercial property, because they also add to our tax base. So going to be talking hopefully for 15 to 20 minutes, and please wish us luck and then bring home some good news to Daytona Beach Shores. That's it right now.
I have no comments.
Okay. Vice
I have
Mayor.
a few, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Some of the citizens call me and they ask me things.
Okay.
So there was not a complaint, but a criticism about the lighting at the McElroy Park. They say it's a little dark because of course now we're starting to get where we'll have a longer day, but they were wondering if the city would look into maybe a couple of more lights at nighttime, either solar powered or feeding off the electrical, just because they were concerned. A lot of kids are still playing late
Did they
at
say
night.
a particular area in the park, or?
You know, they described, I guess, that area where the big field is along the fence line where the bocce ball and the pickleball, somewhere around there. It seems to get a little dark. Anyway, it was just, they asked because they said they had gone there with a bunch of kids and a couple of families, and they found it a little dark, and I said, I'll be more than happy to mention it. And then, Noel, you were here. Are we gonna revamp the sign, are we gonna revamp that sign grant program? Or, because I remember we were talking about giving away too much money, wanted to spread it as much as possible amongst the balance of the people that are non-conforming, or is that it, it's over?
You know, what we voted on, that it would end on December 31st. I think what we had talked about, if there's a case by case, that it was brought before us for exception, we would certainly, but for all practicality, it ended on December 31st, and that is what Noel is telling me.
The biggest comment I have, which is pretty funny, is people were asking me what was up with the recycling and why it took so long to pick up trash. And I don't know if it was just on our street, but it finally got back in queue. It finally went out Monday night, picked up Tuesday morning, but for about 3 weeks, almost a month, the recycling bin stayed out there for several days. I guess it was a new vendor?
Not a new vendor, I think they had either a temporary driver or a new driver. And sometimes they learn the routes, or.
Oh, it was funny, because people were calling me up, says, what are we supposed to do with our recycling? I said, you're asking me? I said, what, you want me to come and get it?
Bring it down
I
to the.
didn't want to bother you, so I didn't call you, but it finally fixed itself.
Actually, next time, tell them to call our finance department.
Oh, okay.
Joanna, who's learning the ropes down here as city clerk fill-in, usually is the one getting the phone, but any of them in the office will answer that phone. And we have a tracking system that we put that in called Trackees. They can also do that online. There's a spot on our website to fill in that, and then it gets noted, and the waste company actually can be fined for missed pickups.
Oh, okay.
So there is,
I didn't know that.
if we know it, and also they are required when we notify them to pick it up within a certain time frame. I don't remember that time frame. I think it's something if they're notified before noon, they have to pick it up by the end of business that day. But if it's afternoon, they have to go like noon the next day. I'd have to look at the contract to confirm that, but we have a system in place to handle those, so have them call the finance department, and I do know that the waste hauler has had a problem with drivers keeping them. And so they've had a few new drivers, and we have had that issue. And I don't want to bar Joanna, but we want those calls.
Yeah.
We need to know as staff so we can deal with those as efficiently as possible.
Thank you. And that's all the comments I
Okay,
have.
thank you. All right, now we're going to go on to audience comments, and we just have one person that asking to speak. And Ed Ufferman, if you want to come up, please. Please, again, just introduce yourself and your address.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Ed Offerman, 3311 South Atlantic, Mucci Twin Towers, North and South Condo Association. I wasn't expecting to speak tonight, but I did wear red.
Okay.
My wife did say the two reds clash. Please, nobody noticed that because I said, I didn't care. Anyway, I wasn't expecting to speak tonight. Now I have two subjects to speak on. So the first one I put down on the paper, I wanted to speak about the Employee Recognition Program or the Employee Recognition Day. But before I do that, Councilman Bryan, thank you very much for your dedication and going to Washington with the League of Cities and sticking up for us, because if you recall, I've spoken at this very microphone before about the cities doing as much as they could with our congressional delegation and our state delegation. So appreciate it. You've done a lot for the community. I personally know you've been around to all the associations that have been in our building at our meetings. So thank you very much for taking the time to do that. Whatever the accident was, I hope you're okay. I hope you're okay. Having lived in Washington, D.C.
I got in a fight, but you should see the other guy.
Yeah. Okay. I did want to speak a little bit about, but thank you, sir. Oh, just a memorandum about with the Florida congressional redistricting that took effect in 2022, Corey Mills is now our congressman, and Mike Walt's district has been, we are no longer in the 6th, we're in the 7th. Corey Mills's district has been in. But Mike, I did talk to General Ordino, and I'm not sure if Mike's office is still in Port Orange. It might still be. And General Ordino assured me that Congressman Waltz, whether he's our technical representative, he'll do what he can for us.
It's kind of like Tom Wright before. He was actually ours before he was ours.
Yep. General Ordino said Mike would continue to do whatever he did.
I almost met with Corey, and I will meet with him. It just, our schedules didn't work out.
Okay, good. Kurt, just a suggestion. Thank you for the program, and I almost want to say, thank you for making the city employees, all the staff, Employee of the Year. I think it was an excellent idea. I really commend you for doing that, for doing the whole city. And I'd just like to make a suggestion that I'd like you to consider, and contact me if you think it's good, or if there's a reason why it's not good, contact me anyway and tell me I'm full of it, which I've been known to be. But I'd like to propose a mutual admiration society, kind of. The city employees have done such a great job, during the hurricane and even before that, and I've been at this microphone commending them before as well. So what I'd like to propose that you give some thought to is, maybe as the vice president of my association, maybe the condo presidents, I would like to contact the condo presidents and ask the condo presidents if they might be interested in serving the city employees as from residents of the city. And as the vice president, I like to volunteer my president. I'm sure I can get her here, and I can watch on the side. If I can have another couple of seconds, wasn't expecting to talk about two things. But I'd like to make that suggestion. And if you'd contact me, I would be happy to arrange it. I'm great at volunteering other people. My friend Deborah Taylor is here. I'm sure I can enlist her with contacting other presidents. And if not, if I can't get enough presidents, I'll volunteer the residents of my association. But I'm sure I'd have no problems getting residents, and I think they would really enjoy. If it's pizza, if it's cooking the hot dogs and hamburgers, that's fine. If it's just serving the pizza and soft drinks, whatever you do, we can figure it out. I'm sure it won't take that long, and that. So I'd just like you to consider that.
Well, thank you very much, Ed.
Thank you, folks.
You're very welcome. Okay. Anyone else? I didn't have any other papers filled out, but is there anyone else that has anything that wants to say? Okay, if not, we're going to move on to items recommended for the next agenda. Besides our normal, does anyone have anything else?
Continued items, obviously.
Yeah, the continued item. Okay, if nothing